Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Well, it's no secret. You heard the introduction. You landed the Her Voice Shines podcast. I'm your proud social Shanasia Washington, streaming from none other than the scorching Houston, Texas. I was just telling my guests, it was so hot here today, I had to reconsider everything. I wanted to pack up and move somewhere else, but hey, look, I got to deal with it, right? This is where I'm at. But guess what? Today has been such a powerful day of interviewing. I know you guys see these in waves, but today has been powerful. I have been realigned with purpose, and I've been so filled, and I feel like I'm on a roll today, and this will be no different. I have a very beautiful guest today. She's going to come to the stage, tell us her name, and get right into that story. You already know the drill. So without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hi. Hello, I'm Jess. I am dialing in all the way from Perth, Australia. And I'm really excited to be here. And I just love what Her Voice Shines is all about and having those inspiring stories. My story is quite a big one. Obviously, I am in the birth space. I am a birth educator / guide / mentor, and I'm basically here to help change the way women see birth, the way women experience birth, and that stems from my own birth story. And I, in a nutshell, had my home birth planned that didn't quite go to plan because of basically preventable interventions that led to a C-section. And so my birth was stripped from me, my autonomy was stripped from me, my voice was stripped from me, and that is what has lit the fire in my belly today to advocate for women and their voice within the birth space and the maternity care in all around the world, basically. So I'm here on a huge mission to help women reclaim that voice and reclaim their birth.
This is a good one because I have my own birth story too, right? Jessica, my son is 7 years old. He'll be 8 on July 25th. And back in 2017, I had a 41-hour labor. I was literally talked about around. It was going around the hospital. There's a woman in here. She had a 41-hour labor. You know, it was a big thing. Yeah. It changed my life forever.
Yeah.
Everything shifted. And I could not remember so many women, of course, in the family had children, but I couldn't remember really having any conversation about it. And I couldn't remember, and it was just such an awakening at that time because I did not expect, we did know that I was going to have to be induced. I sort of had some issues with blood pressure toward the end of it. So they were like, okay, we're going to induce you at 37 weeks. That's what the plan was. And I had to accept that. I didn't want that, but I had to accept that. And that ended up being a 41-hour labor. I was literally about 5 minutes from being rushed to do a C-section. And then he reared his head literally at 11:55 that morning. So everything my body went through, and I contributed to an article a couple of years ago about how it changed my life. Everything my body went through, so many things I wish I would have known before. And to where I am now, I just didn't even know it was a thing. So sometimes it takes those real life experiences really to shift you, and you like a whole nother world awakens. So for you, kind of take us back to the moment where your birth plan started to go off track. Tell me what experiences, like what awakened in that moment. You have this plan, and then there's signs that this plan is starting to go off track. So kind of take us back to that moment.
Yeah, so quite similar, I think, in your story and a lot of other women's stories. So I had a pretty good pregnancy. I was very healthy all throughout. No issues at all. started nearing around 38, 39 weeks, and next minute my blood pressure starts to go up. Now, I was a paramedic, so I am trained in the medical industry, and I very well know all about the health side of things. And so my blood pressure started to go up slightly. Now, it's natural. It's natural for a woman's blood pressure to go up. She has double the amount of blood volume. She is working overtime to create this being. So it's natural for a blood pressure to go up slightly. For me, so you always have to look at the person, right? Because we all have textbook versions of what is normal, what's not when you're trained in the medical industry. You also need to look at your at the person, at the patient. Now, my blood pressure hadn't risen enough to be of serious concern for me, for where my blood pressure sits normally before I was pregnant. But being a woman who is pregnant, you naturally have this level of fear that you want to do things right. You have this natural level that you want to protect that baby. So then when they come at you with all the jargon and the lingo and the fear-based language, even for somebody like me that was trained in that jargon and in that industry, I still went, okay, I'll listen. So my blood pressure started to go up. So she wanted to send me off to get diagnosed or see if I had preeclampsia. So they wanted to rule that one out. So I was like, sure, no worries. So well, off to the hospital I went, and they ruled out that I didn't have preeclampsia. So I was all good with that. But next minute, because I had entered the hospital system, and it was basically my plan B because I had a home birth. I was having a home birth. I had a private midwife. So she had organized all this. But because I was now in the hospital system, I was now in their site, they were starting to push induction. Even though they ruled out preeclampsia, there was nothing actually wrong. They had done the fetal monitoring, baby was perfectly happy. They still wanted to push for induction. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I have a home birth planned. We're all good. Like, nothing's actually wrong. We're all good. So I then had to come in. They wanted me to come in every few days to keep getting monitored, make sure babies are good. And I was like, sure, okay, we'll do that. I will make sure babies are good because, you know, that's my priority at the end of the day. I went in again. They wanted to push induction again. So this is the second time that I've had to decline medical intervention because there was no actual medical reason. There was nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with baby. My blood pressure was just slightly high, okay? And so that was kind of like the undoing. I was like, all right. And I was so in my head at that time. I was so like, just everybody coming at me with everything. And then my midwife suggested to do a stretch and sweep because it was natural, you know. Now I look back and go, well, that was still an intervention. That was still something that interrupted the natural process. And so that was the start of where my birth started to slip through my fingers. So I allowed her to do the stretch and sweep. At the time, she didn't give me any risks. There were no risks explained to me. And now I know that one of the risks is to bring on labor that stalls or false labor. And so that is what happened to me. So I went into labor at 39 weeks, 39 and 5. And so I basically didn't progress. I pretty much went from, you know, having mild contractions to 2 minutes apart within 2 hours and then nothing. It just completely stalled. I hopped in the water at home. I was doing all the things. My midwife was there. She was like, you know, yep, you're like nearly 8 centimeters. And I was like, cool, like, right, this is, I'm nearly there, you know, like this is great. I'm going to have my baby soon. Next minute, it just all of a sudden changed and I didn't get the urge to push at 8 centimeters dilated. There was no urge, there was no nothing was moving. So they got me out of the water. They did a cervical examination and I was only 3 centimeters. And that is where I basically lost control of my birth. My mentality went, so my mindset was like, right, I'm 8 centimeters, next minute I'm only 3 and I'm in a lot of pain. And that was my mindset. My mindset just left me, and I lost control of my birth from that point on. And basically, I still made the call to go to hospital because I was like, I'm in a lot of pain. There's like nothing's progressing. And turns out baby was posterior. She was back to back with me, which is a little bit more painful than normal labor. So I ended up at the hospital. I was like, okay, I can still do this. I can still birth her vaginally. I can still do this. They gave me an epidural. Then they give you Pitocin to kind of, so those two things are kind of counteracting one another. You've got epidural that slows down labor because you're not feeling anything, and then the Pitocin's trying to, keep things going. So it was just one cascade after another that I lost control of my birth. I lost my voice. I lost that autonomy, and ended up in what they call an emergency C-section, but it wasn't actually an emergency. I was fine. Baby wasn't even distressed. I just wasn't progressing. So that was kind of how my birth story unfolded, and where I lost that, lost that control, basically. Yeah.
And it's also to a running theme about how your voice gets minimized and diminished through those processes. I've spoken with several women, of course, since my birthing story, just along the journey of this, and they'll say, well, no, I said this, or, I was kind of forced again. They asked me again. I said, well, no, there's no issue here. And here they're coming back again and saying something else. I mean, there really has to be some layer of, number one, emotional intelligence. We know that you are by craft the doctor, right? Or, the practicing personnel in the medical facility. But there has to be another layer there where they actually listen to the need of the woman. And like I said, I didn't really understand that until I was a 31-year-old woman having my first child. And that to me is not okay. Because as many women that has had babies across the world, and that's still a thing, it's not okay. But when I read your information, you said you felt gutted. It hurt me when I read that particular term. You felt like kind of gutted emotionally and physically after birth. Tell me about, me too. But that's why when I said it, I resonated with it so much, and I put the note over here. And I wanted to ask you, how did you begin that emotional healing journey? And what role did perhaps education play in you reclaiming your power? Because I think it's a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I grieved. I definitely grieved. I think that contributed to my postpartum not being the best. I was grieving a birth that I had worked 9 months preparing for. And it just slipped through my fingers in no time at all. And so I really struggled in postpartum. I actually struggled with baby blues really, really badly. I think I was borderline postnatal depression. So I was struggling really hard, and I had a FIFO husband, or still have a FIFO husband, but he was only home with me for the first 6 weeks, and then I was on my own, and I was struggling. I was so much grief around my birth, so much grief around my identity and who I lost and who I was before, all this happened, before I became a mum. And that really shook me, and I was struggling. And I experienced postpartum rage, which is not often talked about, but it's actually quite common. So I was experiencing a rage, like a primal rage in me that I just didn't understand, and I couldn't grasp how to control. And, I had this tiny little baby that I had to look after now. And so I'm sitting there after having a rage episode, and I'm just like, something has to change. Like, something has to be better than this. Like, I deserve better than this, and she deserves better than this. And so that was the first time that I was like, right, I need to do something. I need external help here to work my way through this. And so I sought out a trauma coach. So I did a 12-week coaching container where she basically, that was my first introduction to NLP and hypnotherapy on that side. And she kind of delved into my childhood, delved into all these areas of my life that I didn't realize were contributing to my outburst, contributing to who I was today. And so that was my first introduction to kind of healing. And that was really eye-opening in the fact that, I healed quite a lot in 12 weeks just by becoming aware, just by having somebody bring to the surface an awareness around, oh, that's interesting. Why have I thought that? Why have I reacted that way? Where has that come from? Is that my voice saying those things, or has it been somebody else that has said it to me, or is it a societal thing or a societal expectation? And so it really helped me become aware. And that was kind of the first point where I was like, right, I'm quite enjoying this journey. I feel like there's a lot to unpack here and a lot to learn. And so I continued on that self-development journey. I ended up doing my own NLP, mindset and shadow work certification. And that really hightailed me into a lot more self-awareness, a lot more, I guess, understanding certain thought patterns that I had playing out, certain patterns in life that were playing out, where I was just like, well, I can change that. It doesn't have to stay like this. And where, our subconscious plays a part in our identity, in our beliefs around who we are, around, religion or money or business or just everything. So it really ricocheted me into this self-development, and I am still not perfect. I think self-development is a lifelong journey, and I just love learning. I love learning a bit more and more about myself. I love being able to be more and more honest with myself around certain things and patterns, and yeah, it's been an amazing journey. My daughter is 3 now, so it's been a long journey, but it's been an amazing one, and it's not over yet. I have all the tools and I have all the, all the knowledge, but I'm still, I guess I'm still trying to put it into practice. There are some days, and as a mum, you would know, there are some days where we're just hanging on by a tether, and it's okay, I really don't want to yell at you right now, but please give me some space. I can have all the breathing tools and I can have all the tools, but some days I'm just oh my God. So we're not perfect, but it is a lifelong journey, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I'm loving being able to impart all this knowledge that I have learned onto my clients.
That is beautiful. And trust me, I know I have a 7-year-old boy, and he's still in the hyperactive phase. I mean, it's just a lot. I'm just sit down. If you could sell me the energy, I will buy it. I'm telling you, I will literally buy it because of what is happening. This is craziness. So I get it. But I think in that, what is really powerful, I think a theme, I think for many women, birthing is something to endure and not to own. I think that's the mindset. You just have to do it. You don't own it. So tell me how you are redefining women giving birth in power. Because just like me, I didn't particularly just say what I just said, but it just was the internal feeling. It's just something that I have to do. I'm a woman, I have a baby, but it wasn't necessarily a process to own. So I want you to talk about how you're helping women redefining birthing in power.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, it's coming back to those natural instincts. As women, we have them. They've just been dimmed down. They've been silenced through, generations of societal expectations from women. And so particularly in this day and age where society expects women to bounce back, where expects women to basically meet men where they're at. And I think that's kind of skewed a lot of our instincts when it comes to being a mum, because then you can't surrender, you can't trust the process, you can't trust your body, and we're trying to validate through external noise, and there's just all these things happening. So we're ignoring what our own gut is telling us, what our own body is feeling, and so that's where emotional embodiment comes in to help you lean back into what your body is saying. Then NLP comes in where we try and I guess, uncover where certain beliefs are playing out, where certain beliefs around birth, around, any fears around birth, around postpartum, around motherhood, where they're stemming from. Have they been passed down to you, or have they been given to you from society's expectations? So starting to really help women become self-aware in that respect and understand where certain patterns are playing out. Is it a generational thing that's come passed down from mum to daughter, and so helping them to really figure out where those beliefs are, but also coming back to ourselves. It's coming home to those instincts that are naturally in our DNA. And I like to use for an example, between us and chimpanzees, right? You watch chimpanzees give birth in the wild and they just do it. They just do it. Like there's no thinking. It's just a natural wisdom that's in their body that they just instinctively know how to do. And so do we. The difference between us and chimpanzees is we have a conscious mind. So our conscious mind is our thinking mind. It's our logical mind. It's the mind that, is reasoning. So that is what tends to take over, is our conscious mind. So when we hit the depths of birth, our conscious mind takes over, which is where fears tend to come up. It's where we let other people in our head, with what they're saying, their projections. And so really helping to delve deep and release fears to be able to birth is the biggest thing, because there are fears. There's fears around birthing outside of a system, because that's what we've all grown up to know, is that you birth in a hospital. There's no other alternative. But now that people know there's still that fear that, I need somebody there. I can't trust myself. I can't trust my body. Like, what are you talking about? And so it's really helping women to reclaim that wisdom that our bodies know what to do. While Western medicine is amazing and can really help save lives and save, women and babies in certain dire circumstances, for most women, it's not needed. And the thing that I really want women to understand is that doctors and midwives during birth should purely be there to observe. They should be hands off. They should purely be there to observe and to witness and to hold space and just be there in the event that something maybe doesn't go to plan. And that is what I'm trying to help women reclaim and rediscover for themselves, is that we shouldn't be handing that power over, because that's what society has taught us to do. And it's only been the last couple of 100 years that women have really been birthing in hospitals. It's helping them to rediscover that natural innate wisdom that is in our body. It's in our DNA. We just have to get out of here.
Yes. What a powerful statement, because I think a lot of us, hinge on the idea of like Western medication and those ideologies. Actually, was speaking to someone who was using Ayurveda. It's like an Indian healing principle. I spoke to many women who have used kind of a combination of modalities really for health, and it's awakening for me. One of the things, I spoke to you about, working at an international bank, and that was the first thing that opened my eyes to just a perspective of culture and just living. Even as it relates to birth, I remember I was actually pregnant with someone at the same time, and she was of Indian descent, and we had totally different views of what it was. I say that every part of my journey comes back full circle for me, because never knew that down the line I would have so many conversations like outside of banking and personal conversations. But it's really an awakening thing, and what that segment taught me is to be open, to educate yourself, to not rely on just all the things that are around you. So have a birthing conversation, have a birthing plan, know your medical history, know what could potentially work and not work. You have to be your own advocate. That's basically what I'm saying to you, because if I would have known a lot more things before 2017, when I went through my birthing process, I think it would have went incredibly a lot better. To be quite frank with you guys, I probably should have filed a lawsuit. I did not know everything that was going on at that time. But once I came back full circle and realized everything that happened to me and everything that was mishandled, Jessica,
Mm.
it would have been grounds for a lawsuit. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're here and talking about that. One of the things that also too stood out in your form, and this is, I think, personal and business kind of combined, because you said, I stopped trying to appeal to everybody. And I started, this is what you told me. Like, you
Mm.
guys know I ask you,
Yeah.
you don't make you guys fill out this form for anything, because I have to understand. You said you stopped trying to appeal to everyone and you started speaking to the you that you used to be.
Mm. Mm.
Powerful. I don't know. So you probably typed it. It's like, oh, I'm just filling out the form, but you don't realize really how powerful that is. You have to really talk to us about how that thinking maybe even increased you in debt. Because I've been there already. But when I started to do that, when I started to say, oh, I'm just going to try to do it any other way and do it how they're doing it, guess what? Just didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did not work. So I had a really good shaking. It's probably about a year now, back in probably July of 2024. I mean, I was doing business, it was a little bit before the podcast started, but I had to have this real good shaking that says,
Mm.
Sinead, you're not everyone is not your target. You're
Yeah.
not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay, but I'm somebody's glass of champagne, Jessica.
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna let you speak to that because I thought that was so powerful and so many women need to understand that. But I really want you to expand on that and tell me how that helped you.
Yeah. So, yes, basically, we all have a past version of us, whether that was 3 years ago, whether that was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, child you. And so when I stopped trying to, and it took me time, like I've been in business 2 years, I've been a mum for 3. It's taken me time to get to this point where I have stopped trying to appeal to everybody, trying to keep myself small, because at the end of the day, there are people that are going to like you and there are people that aren't. There's people that are going to vibe with your vibe and there's people that aren't, and that's totally okay. And so by me speaking to past self me, so me that had my birth, who was a very different person, a very different way of thinking, a very, I guess, secluded in a way. Even though I was a trained paramedic, I had all this, medical knowledge, I was still quite shut off from, emotional intelligence and shut off from that sort of development. And so now when I talk, I'm talking to past me because past me thought I knew it. And I can't tell you the amount of women that I have had conversations with that have had babies before and think they know it. And while that may be true to a point, you definitely understand the labor process now. You definitely understand, what's going to happen. You never know everything. And that is a part of emotional intelligence, is that if you are somebody that thinks you know it and know enough, then you've already lost the game. You talk to like the most successful people in the world and they never stop learning. They never know enough, because you can always learn something. You can always learn something from somebody that's lower than you or somebody that's higher than you. Like there's you never stop. And so I love to be able to talk to past me when I show up online because there are women out there that are her, that are past me. And so it makes it really beautiful when I can, hone in on talking to a past me with so much love and curiosity and like endearment as to what they might be going through, what's going through their head. And yeah, it's been a process and I really, really love it. And I love being able to unlock new things, not only in myself, but in other people. I love being able to trigger those things in other women that just feel like coming back to themselves and they're like, oh my God, like I get it. Nobody's explained it like this. Nobody ever gives me the full truth. And while I'm not here to sugarcoat things, I'm here to actually tell the truth. And that's not going to vibe with a lot of people, like I can be brash, I can be like, but I'm also going to hold your hand through it. Like I'm not going to baby you. I'm not going to spare your feelings if it's what you need to hear, or if it's something that's going to help you make a decision. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but I am going to help you, and I'm going to hold space for you to be able to feel what you need to feel while you work through what I've just said, to be able to come to a decision. But unpacking the fact that, speaking to basically a past self, there's many women out there that are who I used to be. There's women that are who I used to be 5 years ago, and I feel like speaking to women, whether they're pregnant or whether they're planning to in the future, they need to understand this, that because this sort of work that I do, the advocacy, can help them in all areas, like all areas of life. It's helping to basically find your voice when somebody either doesn't agree or doesn't have the same opinion, or might try and scare you into a way of doing it their way. And so this work that I do can help not just with birth and labor and postpartum, but you can have this throughout your life.
That's so good. I think one of the most powerful pieces from that segment is that dedication to forever learning. And I tell people, even down to this podcast, what I tell you, Jessica, it has been that for me, and it's been in such a natural way. Of just sitting here having a conversation is one of the best and easiest ways for me to learn. And I have gotten just such a view of the world through someone else's lens.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the actual technical skills or whatever, but just that experience, I have been forever shifted. Like I literally walk this earth in a different way because I have the viewpoints and experience of so many different people who have shaped my perspectives and really increased my empathy, increased my emotional intelligence, and even made me stay firm and say, okay, you have to be dedicated to creating this space also too for them, because it's safe here for you to share that, and many women need to hear and experience that. Now, I need to have a clear segment, Jessica. We know we've talked about your services kind of overarching, but I always like a very clear segment that gives an overview of your services and how people can work with you, in a couple, 2-3 sentences, and also give us any links to connect with you if anyone wants to connect with you after this. So I'll cue over to you for that.
Amazing. So I have a course, it's an online course called Reclaiming Birth, where I teach you everything from informed consent to advocating to a physiological birth to breathwork, NLP, uncovering those belief systems. It's basically the next best thing to me being a doula in the room with you. So I've created it so it can be accessed worldwide, and it is super affordable because I understand the rise in the economy and all the pressure financially, but I believe that every woman needs to have access to this. So I've made it what it is. I've made it so affordable, and it's also something that you and your partner can do together. It's not going to be boring for him, and it's not going to be overwhelming for you. I have strategically made it the way that it is, and it is the next best thing to having me in the room advocating for you. And so you can reach out to me on Instagram, Sovereign Birth Collective. My DMs are always open. You can even find Reclaiming Birth through my links on there. And I would really, really love to connect with you.
Yes, I love it. And thank you for what you do. I think what you do is so amazing. I think it's very powerful. If I could go back, I would have hired you, is what you said. To help me navigate everything that happened to me. It was really one of the pivotal, when you think about like maybe top 5 or 6 things, pivotal moments in your life, it's on the list. It really did change me. Let's do rapid fire. I don't always get time to do this one, but I have some rapid fire questions I prepared for you over here, Jessica. It's 10 of them. Okay. So let's tell you the rules.
Yeah.
You only get a word or two, maybe a sentence, okay? Just
okay.
Answer the first thing that comes to your mind. Is to keep you here, keep you human. So that's what we do rapid fire from. So the first one says home birth or hospital birth. In one word, evoke for you, because you've seen the leg of the land for both. So if I say home birth and then I say hospital birth, what comes to mind when you hear those words?
Autonomy.
Very good. What is one thing you wish every pregnant woman knew?
Oh,
one thing. I know it's a lot, but use that one thing you wish they knew.
Use her voice. That she can use her voice.
Most surprising thing about postpartum life?
Oh, that it's not supposed to be done alone.
Mm, I probably could have used that one too. Yeah.
Mm.
A book that changed your life or business.
Oh, just one's hard.
Well, I'm looking behind you. It's fine. You got it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you like me. It's gonna be hard. So, but you got to pick one.
I actually think the biggest book would be The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Wow. Believe it or
Yeah.
not, I'm telling you, this is a divine day because
Mm.
that book came up in all three interviews.
Really? Wow.
All three interviews.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
basically, I know that's why I have to keep working. I have to keep doing the job. I have to keep showing up. The power of now. I wrote it
Mm.
over here on the note to go and reread it because I have it. The
Yeah.
fact that it came up 3 times today is not a coincidence.
No.
So I got chills. So let me move on quickly. Okay. Your favorite part of building the Sovereign Birth Collective. Favorite part of building it.
Oh, my favorite part. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, that's hard. I think my favorite part for building it is the community that I've built. The community of like-minded women.
I love it. The most raw and real moment in your entrepreneurial journey. I had one
Oh,
recently.
oh,
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
raw and real moment. Yeah. Okay. So I still have a shadow around wanting to recluse. I want to turn inward and hide when I have bad days in business and in life, and that is a shadow that I'm still working through. But yeah, I just want to shut out the world. I want to hide under my blanket, and yeah, I don't want to deal with it.
Look, Jessica, well, at least you said on a bad day. Sometimes I just want to recluse. It could be a good day. I just don't feel like it, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
At least you said on a bad day, okay? A word you want women to feel after working with you.
Oh, powerful.
That's good. And here's the last one, I promise.
Yeah.
What does sovereignty feel like in your body? What does it feel like?
Oh, sovereignty in your body feels like autonomy. It feels primal. It feels like wisdom, like an innate knowing. It's soft and empowering and just owning your voice, owning your body, surrendering into it. Yeah.
I love it. Let me tell you, Jessica, I told you it's going to be fun. I told you it's going to be a fun time. I told you it's going to be good information, and you did just that. I have to thank you. Y'all, she already in Australia. I don't know when you're going to see this, but she's in Australia. So it's really early morning for her. And I don't take it lightly because the first thing I'm like, you all here with me early in the morning like that. So I am just so honored. But this is the part in our show, Jessica. We cue our guests for final thoughts. We asked them to give them some good parting words for us as we share this space. Give them some good parting words and something that really captures the essence of Jessica. I will allow you to do final thoughts and I'll come back and close the show. So over to you for final thoughts.
Final thoughts about me. I am just very much in my zone of genius with this. I, again, come from that medical background, so I understand how the hospital systems work, but I also understand how a mother should work and how her body and trusting into that. And so basically summing me up, I am fiery, I am bold, I am not going to sugarcoat it, but I am also nurturing. I'm a mother. I will hold your hand. I will lead you the way, but you have to meet me halfway. And so I have absolutely loved this chat. I have loved being able to impart this wisdom, and I hope that you guys get a lot out of it, and I really hope that you kind of vibe with me and resonate with me. So come on over and give me a follow. I would absolutely love to connect with you. And yeah, I really hope that I can have a chat with Her Voice Shines again.
Yes, absolutely. You are welcome in this place, and I promise I won't be as crazy next time. I'll be
I left the crazy.
Let me tell you guys, this has been a fabulous episode of Her Voice Shines. And I tell you, miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine. And the words of the old church mothers, I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And we'll be back in another, I don't know. You'll see me when you see me on the Her Voice Shines podcast, coming up soon with another amazing woman. Until then, we're out and we love you.